Welcome to today's Explainer. I'm absolutely pumped to take you on a journey right now into a tiny, almost invisible factory that literally powers every single moment of your day. We're going to completely demystify the incredible biochemistry behind one of the absolute most powerful organs in the entire human body.
Think about it for a second. Right now, deep inside your neck lies a tiny gland acting as the master control switch for your whole body. Now, we often talk about the body as this complex engine, right? It needs fuel, oxygen, a spark to keep running. But how exactly does this one specific master switch actually control the speed, the temperature, and the overall efficiency of that entire metabolic engine?
Okay, let's dive right in. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll meet the thyroid gland, step inside its hormone factory, check out the body's metabolic engine, see how the whole system is regulated, and then look at what happens in system overdrive, hyperthyroidism, and when powering down, hypothyroidism. Let's get to it. Starting off with Section 1, meet the thyroid gland. Before we can really unpack the complex biochemistry here, we kind of need to know exactly where this master switch lives and what it actually looks like. So if you feel right at the front of your neck, just below the thyroid cartilage, what a lot of folks call the Adam's apple, you'll find this beautifully shaped gland. I mean, it literally looks like a butterfly just wrapping right around the front of your trachea, or windpipe. It's got these two distinct, textured lobes on either side, and they're joined perfectly in the middle by this little bridge of tissue that we call the isthmus. Now, if we zoom way, way into the microscopic cellular level, we can see this isn't just some solid block of tissue. It's actually made up of countless tiny spherical structures called thyroid follicles. And the cells lining these, the follicular cells, these are the true heroes of our story. They're the ones churning out those crucial metabolic hormones, T3 and T4. Oh, and tucked right in between those follicles, you've got neighboring cells called parafollicular cells, or C cells, which actually secrete a totally different hormone called calcitonin. Moving on to Section 2, inside the hormone factory. Now that we've got the basic anatomy down, let's step right onto the factory floor to see how this incredibly efficient cellular assembly line actually gets the job done. This whole manufacturing process is called organification, and honestly, it is a total masterpiece of biological engineering. First up, the factory needs raw materials, right? So it actively traps iodide from your blood, stuff you get from eating things like salt and seafood. Fun fact here, your body only needs a tiny fraction of a teaspoon of iodine over your entire lifetime, but without it, this whole factory just shuts down cold. Next, an enzyme called peroxidase oxidizes that iodide into active iodine. Meanwhile, the cells are busy building this massive protein called thyroglobulin. In step 4, iodination, the iodine gets slapped right onto that thyroglobulin. And finally, through a process called coupling, these iodinated pieces are joined together to form our ultimate metabolic fuel, the hormones T3 and T4. This beautifully illustrates the actual cellular blueprint. You can see the iodide trap pulling raw material from the blood straight into the cell. If you follow along, the assembly line moves right toward the colloid. That's the center of the follicle, where the hormones are actually built and stored on that giant thyroglobulin molecule. When your body demands fuel, the cell uses penocytosis to pull that molecule back inside, uses lysosomes to snip the T3 and T4 free, and ships them out into the bloodstream. It's so efficient that even the leftover parts, the MIT and DIT molecules, get deiodinized so the raw iodine can be completely recycled. Seriously, talk about efficiency. But here's a totally fascinating twist. When this factory ships out its goods, a massive 93% of what it secretes is actually T4, also known as thyroxine. Now, T4 is essentially a prohormone. It's relatively inactive. It isn't until this T4 travels all the way through your bloodstream and hits the target tissues out in your body that it actually gets converted into T3, triiodothyronine. T3 is the highly potent, fully active form of the hormone that actually gets in there and does the heavy lifting. Which brings us to Section 3. The body's metabolic engine. The factory shipped the fuel, it converted into active T3 at the destination, so let's shift gears and look at what happens when it actually fires up that metabolic engine. The systemic effects of these hormones are absolutely wild. I mean, they literally control your basal metabolic rate, or BMR. They crank up the cycling of enzymes, triggering a massive spike in oxygen consumption and ATP synthesis. They enhance mitochondrial respiration, meaning your cells are literally burning fuel faster and hotter. They stimulate your heart rate and myocardial contractility, so your heart pumps blood way more vigorously. Plus, they're absolutely crucial for the maturation and proper functioning of your central nervous system. Tracing this physiological cascade, you can see how T4 converts to T3, which then dives straight into the nucleus of the target cell.
It binds directly to the DNA response elements, kicking off the transcription of new mRNA and the translation of brand new proteins. These new proteins are the literal biochemical machinery that revs up our internal engine. We're talking increased glucose absorption, higher cardiac output, generating body heat, and accelerating bone and tissue growth. It's the whole shebang.
All right, on to section 4, regulating the system. So, with an engine running this powerfully, you gotta wonder, how on earth does the body prevent this whole system from overheating and burning out, or from stalling out completely?
Well, the answer lies in one of biology's absolute most elegant control mechanisms, the hypothalamic pituitary thyroid axis, or HPT axis for short. It acts as a perfect negative feedback loop. Up in your brain, the hypothalamus monitors the situation and releases TRH. That tells the pituitary gland to release TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. TSH travels all the way down to the neck and commands the thyroid to get to work, to grow, and to secrete T3 and T4. But, and here is the sheer genius of it, once those T3 and T4 levels get high enough in your blood, they actually signal right back to the brain to suppress the TRH and TSH. The signal stops, the factory slows down, and perfect, delicate balance is maintained.
Moving to section 5, system overdrive, hyperthyroidism. As we know, biology is super complex, and sometimes that master switch just malfunctions. Let's explore what happens when this switch gets jammed in the on position. This is the hypermetabolic state known as hyperthyroidism.
One of the major culprits for this massive system override is an autoimmune condition you've probably heard of, Graves' disease. In a healthy body, TSH neatly docks into the TSH receptor to stimulate the gland. But with Graves' disease, the body's immune system creates these rogue autoantibodies. They actually act exactly like TSH, binding directly to those receptors, completely bypassing the brain's natural control system and forcing the thyroid gland into a state of nonstop, toxic overproduction.
The resulting high-speed chaos is what we call severe thyrotoxicosis. Because the metabolic engine is running incredibly hot and ridiculously fast, patients get these rapid, pounding heartbeats. They deal with uncontrollable tremors, excessive sweating, profound weight loss, even if they're eating a ton, and a very distinct bulging of the eyes, known as exophthalmos. This hyperstate can actually peak in a totally terrifying medical emergency called a thyroid storm. We're talking rapid, complete organ decompensation with extreme fevers, delirium, dangerously fast arrhythmias, and severe agitation. It's basically a body running at maximum RPMs with absolutely zero breaks.
And finally, section 6, powering down hypothyroidism. Now, I want you to imagine the exact opposite. What happens when the metabolic engine is just completely starved of fuel and the body's systems slowly begin to grind to a halt? This is the lethargic, powered-down state of hypothyroidism.
This factory can shut down for a few different reasons. On a global scale, the most common cause is honestly just a lack of raw materials, specifically a severe iodine deficiency in the diet. But it can also be triggered by autoimmune forces, especially a condition called Hashimoto's thyroiditis, where the body's own immune system systematically attacks and destroys the thyroid factory itself. It can even be the result of medical interventions like a previous thyroid surgery or targeted radiation therapy. Whatever the cause, when that factory stops, hormone levels just plummet. So the crucial point here is that the physical result of this starvation is super striking. Because there's no raw iodine around, T3 and T4 levels drop down close to zero. The pituitary gland up in the brain senses this massive drop and just starts screaming at the thyroid to work harder, pumping out huge amounts of TSH. But here's the thing, the thyroid can't make hormones without iodine, so instead, all that intense TSH stimulation just causes the gland cells to multiply and grow. This hypertrophic swelling leads to a really massive visible enlargement in the neck that we call a simple goiter. If we look at these two states side by side, it gives us this brilliant bird's eye view of how they perfectly and destructively oppose each other across every single major body system. Where hyperthyroidism brings heat intolerance, crazy weight loss, and severe agitation, hypothyroidism brings cold intolerance, weight gain, depression, and really sluggish speech. Where the hyperheart races in tachycardia, the hypoheart slows way down to a bradycardic crawl with spiked cholesterol. It really is a masterclass in how just one single group of hormones completely dictates the pace of our entire physical existence. The physical juxtaposition here is just incredible to see. You've got the hypermetabolic state, anxious, flushed, sweating, dealing with tremors and rapid muscle breakdown. And on the flip side, the extreme hypothyroid state, which can sometimes culminate in myxedema. The patient is deeply lethargic, profoundly cold, retaining tons of fluid with a puffy, pale face, and struggling with severe constipation and muscle apathy. This stark contrast perfectly hits the nail on the head regarding the immense systemic power of the thyroid's master switch. So, by demystifying these incredibly intricate, totally invisible cellular steps, from trapping just a single molecule of iodine all the way to transcribing DNA inside your cells, we uncover the profound, everyday impact the thyroid has on our overall well-being. It really is the ultimate biochemist. It dictates the energy in your every single step, the beat of your heart, and the clarity of your mind. Right now, as you're taking all this in, that delicate, elegant feedback loop is working completely invisibly inside you. It's analyzing your blood, adjusting the dials, and keeping your metabolic engine humming at exactly the right speed. But considering how complex and unbelievably sensitive this microscopic factory really is, what tiny chemical shift might tip your balance tomorrow? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you next time.